hello to this Twitch stream, to Caesar Inc.'s very first Twitch stream to talk about our upcoming game, Doomsong. This is usually going to be an affair where we've got like a few people here, Chris, Morgan, and I. But as is possibly very auspicious for a game about entering the Plaguescape and there's being sort of the Lord of Pestilence and the Plague Father and all of that fun stuff. Both Chris and Morgan are ill for this inaugural stream. So you've got just me today. I'm going to sort of hang around for the next couple of minutes, and then at 4, I'll start talking about Doomsong. We've got some cool stuff to go through today. Baron von Uppercase, we have been blessed by Father Plague. Indeed you have. Indeed you have. That's our writer right there for the adventure, Lord Have Mercy Upon Us. Today I'm going to chat a bit about Doomsong. I imagine that anyone listening probably will know very little about it, so let's change that. We have just released today a massive 120-page sort of sample book of the demo set for Doomsong. So it's got everything you need to create a character, run a sort of short game based in Castle Leaf, the castle in the Lost Kingdom of Leaf, which is one of the locations in the book in the campaign. And then basically see how you like it, and if you do like it, make sure to tweet about us, join our Discord, and generally, do all the social media stuff that helps us out. We're a small company, and so trying to get the word out there is absolutely huge for us. And if you haven't already, check it out on Kickstarter/project/Caesar/Doomsong. Link will be in the description of various places that you can find. Pop it in the chat in a sec as well. So check out those. Click the notify me on launch button. That is absolutely like the biggest thing for us at the moment, is trying to get as many people to be notified when we go live. And then you can check it out there. We've got absolutely tons of cool new surprises to share with you guys. Make sure to do that. And I will start sort of properly talking a little bit in a couple of minutes. But until then, just watch me drink this tea. Well, I assume that's a secret Discord message telling me something I've done terribly wrong. Let's have a look. It says, say that several times throughout the stream. Follow the Kickstarter. Yeah, follow the Kickstarter, everybody. I'll be saying that. They're too ill to join, but not ill enough to not heckle. Oh man, there's so much to talk about that. I might just dive in. We've got 1 minute. That's basically 4 o'clock. So with that preamble, that meandering preamble done, hello and welcome to Doomsong. This is a roleplay macabre set in the Plaguescape, the Lost Kingdom of Leaf, in the adventure Lord Have Mercy Upon Us. Just throwing a load of random words at you, but it's all going to make a lot more sense as I go through the sampler, the demo, and everything that you're going to be getting in the lead up to the campaign. There's tons of surprises that we've got coming. This is the first of, essentially, we're going to be doing a weekly What's New at Caesar Inc. stream. That's what this is. So this week we're talking about the sampler. Next week we might be talking about the gods, the guilds of Paynim. That's the main world that we're creating. The character creation process. We'll be talking a lot about the art of Moritz Krebs, which is what both inspired and sort of helped create a lot of the sort of monsters and creatures in this setting. It's what a lot of this beautiful art is done by Moritz Krebs, who's an absolutely amazing illustrator. He's done awesome stuff that's real creepy. yeah, we'll be talking about the monsters, the lore behind the world, but also the games and the rules that created this setting. And of course, wrapping all around that is the Plaguescape itself, the horror dimension of pestilence, which is not a nice place to be, but is a nice place to have adventures. I guess it's not really a nice place to have adventures, but it's a nice place to talk about adventures that other people are having, not you. So, I think without any further ado, I might just dive into the sampler. So, this has been released today. This is something that you can basically get your hands on and have a look through. The way you would get your hands on it is by subscribing to our newsletter at Caesar.inc slash Doomsong. That's Caesar.inc/Doomsong. And you know what? I will pop that in the chat if I can work out how. Here we go. Caesar.inc/Doomsong. For your free 120 page demo. Bam. So go there, subscribe to the newsletter, and you get sent basically all of this content that we're going to be looking through today. So without further ado, let's dive in and see if this works. Oh, it does. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So what we're looking at here is the InDesign. I've actually opened up the sort of behind the scenes copy. This is what we've been working on for the last few months. And let's go into preview mode, so it looks a little bit more fancy. And go in. So this is I promise I won't go into everything in this detail, but I actually I love this image. Let's make that again in a slightly higher display performance. If you want to follow along at home with your own copy of the Doomsong sampler, subscribe to our newsletter, and you can. So, God, Chris is going to kill me if I do that. I'm not going to save anything if Chris is watching. Don't worry. If I accidentally break anything, I'm not going to save it. This is the world of Panem. This map is. I have this joke in sort of whenever I draw a map for a role playing game, for like a TTRPG, that I'll be like, I'll draw the map and I'll go, well, it's a political map. It's not, it's not accurate. That isn't necessarily 10 foot wide. Like I haven't measured everything out and made it proper. This is a political map. It's not a proper map. This is by definition like not a real place. On the left hand side we have basically Panem, the mortal world. Then on the right hand side we've got the sort of the gods displayed as a sort of astral chart, star chart type thing. So something that's interwoven throughout this whole setting is its creation myth and its destruction myth. So its creation myth is based around Mortal, the god who created everything, and then was almost immediately murdered by his own children, the traitor gods. These traitor gods had children of their own, who had children of their own, and so you have this entire pantheon of traitor gods, which, as you can probably guess by their name, aren't particularly liked by the humans of the setting. So, like, the great church of the setting hates the traitor gods, and so essentially, if you follow any of them, you're a heretic. You're to be hunted and your cult wiped and burnt at the stake. All horrible stuff. The real sticker is because the god is dead, the immortal has been strangled and left in a shallow grave. He has no powers to give you. The traitor gods do. They're alive. Worshipping the traitor gods has tangible benefits. They will give you powers. They will solve your problems at a price, of course, but they're real and they are helping you. Whereas following the dead god gets you nothing apart from moral superiority. So essentially, on the right, you have that like metaphysical world, which, as a slight spoiler, this is actually a flat world of a coin, or like so a flat disc. And on one side you have this sort of mortal realm, and on the flip side you have the God's Land, with Mount Empyrean at the middle, and Wheel. There's all very cool stuff. But as I said, I promise I'm not gonna like spend this long on every single page. But you do have above. So this is the sort of mortal realm. You have a Sartan in the middle. That's this city here, and then the Heartlands, which are like the farmlands around that, and then north, sort of as the last bastion against the encroaching Weald, is the 5 border castles: Acheron, Styx, Phlegethon, Leith, and Cocytus, which you may recognize as the 5 rivers around in Hades. So these are like the last vestiges of civilization against this encroaching wilderness that's like literally attacking. The forest is encroaching into the human lands and trying to strangle everything. Not a great time to be a human, especially as the world is ending. The first sign of the world ending is the arrival of pestilence, of course. The Father Plague, who, in his arrival, has stolen the entire region of Leith, this blacked out one here. In stealing the region of Leith, he's plunged it into what he now calls the Plaguescape, and that is the setting of the first adventure. Another slight, we've got the Doomsong here, the actual the Doomsong. So this is a really cool orchestral piece that we had done by a friend of ours who's very musically minded. And if anyone in the audience is able to give this a play, we would absolutely love to hear it. We have heard it on like piano and stuff, but if you have access or can break into a church, play it on organ, that would be amazing. So we have tons of stuff, absolutely tons of stuff in this sampler, 120 pages, and we go through creating a character, the standard rules, and sort of how the game flow works, gear, weapons, all of that stuff. The game itself is quite the sort of top layer is quite open ended. So once you have those rules, you can actually do almost everything. The only thing that sort of is mostly going to be really sort of expanded on in the final release is way more like abilities and occult abilities and sort of the nitty gritty like mechanical stuff that's added. But the core game doesn't really need all of that stuff to work. The other massive thing that's going to change in the final or the full release is this character creation process is going to be exponentially bigger. It's going to be huge. There's really cool stuff in there, but I'll go through that in a sec. So yeah, we've got the rules. We've got the Last Meal, which is a short adventure, basically an excerpt from Lord Have Mercy Upon Us, to take you through how that sort of how the game works. And if you play that, please let us know what you loved, what you didn't love, absolutely everything. All feedback is super useful. And, then we have Castle Residence, which is like the bestiary for the monsters and characters in the adventure. This is another part that's going to obviously be much bigger in the final books, because there's 2 books. And if you go to our Kickstarter on at kickstarter.com/projects/Caesar Inc/Doomsong, then you'll find, there we go. Oh no, that's the demo. But if you go to the Kickstarter, you can find a little button that says "Notify me." Click on that. Super useful. Please do that right now. I'll wait for you to do that and come back. Cool, that was quick. You're quick. So let's dive in. Um, so even though this is like a demo and we're expecting this to be in the hands of people who probably know a fair bit about um, tabletop role playing games, we did want to still sort of go through our philosophy and what we think they're about, and how they work and what's sort of special about this one. So this section, getting started, is just that. It's generally the philosophies of playing this game. It's horror. It's dangerous. Checks should matter. Things are gonna go poorly, and like just trying to get across that sort of sense of if you're rolling a die, it's important, and something dangerous might happen. Um, and here we have our description of the conversation. It's one of the funny sort of things about role playing games is actually 90% of every role playing game is quite similar to every other role playing game in that it's a conversation between you and the GM or the GM and you. And it's just what do you want to do? How do you do that? And 90% of the time that is just role play, and that is just, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that happens. And the dice only actually come into play. Things go terribly wrong. I have the chance of going terribly wrong. But, it's a good display of some of Maritz's absolutely awesome artwork. It's creepy, sort of foreboding style. I absolutely love. And then we come to one of the first really cool sort of innovations of or neat little interesting things of Doomsong. I have here the character sheet, and essentially this is a cool little physical thing, which is also available in that downloaded link. So if you go to caesar.inc/doomsong and subscribe to our newsletter, you'll get a copy of the full demo, and the character sheet is also there in PDF form for you to print off. So it's two-sided, um, or rather, sorry, it's folded. So we basically once you've created it, once you've folded it, you have basically everything you need outside of combat. You've got a little sort of how checks work as a reminder of the full game, and then on the back you've got your contract of employment. Every gravedigger, and you are playing gravediggers, must sign this before they're allowed to join the guild. So you don't need to read it; it's fine. But if we open this up, we get all of the combat stuff essentially. So here's a reminder of how the combat round works. Here's the actions available in a combat, and the sort of the general attack tables, defense tables, and things like that. So we've like really streamlined the process and put almost everything you need to know on the character sheet. So check that out. Really cool little piece of graphic design. But moving on, we have the character creation process itself. So this is also very cool. It's inspired by stuff like Traveller, where you're giving the players a lot of sort of prompts to create their character, and sort of building a backstory and a history of the character rather than just sort of the end result. So in something like Dungeons and Dragons, for example, you pick a background and you pick a class, and it's on you to sort of fill the background in and be like, oh, why am I a fighter? Oh, because I was part of the army, and because of I have this sort of background, blah blah blah. Whereas we're going for something that's quite a lot more lethal in a lot of ways, and that's a lot of the philosophies. And part of that sort of lethality means, for us at least, that creating a new character has to be quick and smooth, and that character wants to be interesting, even though they've been created quickly. And sort of, you want a bit of grit and interesting sort of stuff in that character, not just here's the same character, but I've rubbed out the name and put my new character's name in there or anything like that. So here's how it works. Essentially, this section, and this is probably about a quarter of the size of the full game, and it's really cool when you've got the like all of the tables, how it all like links together, and you never have the same character twice, and it's all like expansive and creates a like fun story. Anyway, here's how it works. So you begin on this origin page, and on that origin page, you roll a d6. Um, so here we have. Uh, we're basically working out where we were born. So, welcome, stranger. The Gravedigger's Guild takes anyone seeking sanctuary within its walls. We have highborn and low, the scum of the earth, and those who would turn their back on the clawing existence of daily life. Whatever has brought you here will not surprise us. Well, let's have it. Where did your story begin? Then the player rolls a d6. I've rolled a 4. So that's the result, Gutter Snipe. You are just another drop in the effluent flow that is the slums of Asatum. Only the quick, the clever, and the brutal survive here, and even they need luck. Choose your birth name and record it on your character sheet. Add Slumcast as a trait and resolve the Slumcast path on page 18. So what that means is, first of all, you have a birth name. So that is added to your character sheet. There's actually 2 spaces for names on the character sheet. There's birth name and nickname. So your birth name is essentially your true name. It doesn't really come up much in the demo, but we have some interesting ramifications for your true name and who might know that and what power they might have over you. Then your nickname is more of a sort of colloquial term. It might be the same as your birth name. You might go by what you were born as, or you might have sort of had a step up in society and poshed up your name, or a step down and similarly unposhed up your name, poshed down. Anyway, so we've got that. We've added a trait, so we literally just write that down. Traits are keywords that basically give you bonuses in skills throughout the game, and we carry on. We go to the Slumcast path. That's on the next page, and so we sort of roll again on this table. It might, and here we start to get some more sort of options. So I roll a 6 here, a lucky streak. The clack of dice in your palms, the feel of cards in your hand, the rush of winning. For a time, you had everyone beat. As your pockets filled, resentments grew in equal measure. You may become a young gravedigger, and if you do, roll twice on each table in that path. So essentially, I can do that, or I can continue on and basically choose one of these paths down here. So I could become a cut purse, I could become a foot soldier. These 2 paths aren't available in the demo, but what's quite nice in the demo is the way we've cut it is it's all visible, so you can sort of see which bits are missing, and I think that really sort of displays what's possible in the full system. So here I could choose to become a young gravedigger, like a really young gravedigger, as a sort of brave young reckless gambler, or I could choose to become a cut purse or a foot soldier. So essentially, let's say I chose cut purse. I'd go to page 21. Here we are, cut purse. And I would gain one of these traits here, so I might become quick-fingered or light-footed. Then I'd roll on this table here, and it looks like I roll a 1. So I'm either going to go to prison, or I'm going to gain the missing hand trait as someone chops off my hand. So I could start the game with a missing hand, or I could go to prison. Let's say I go to prison to Saint Repentance. So I would gain some traits there. I'd roll on the die again, and here I got out of prison because I was ill. I was racked, much like Morgan and Chris right now, who are ill. That's the other 2 people in the office. Those who become infected often find themselves ousted at the first opportunity. So you're essentially sold into the gravediggers. You can gain either the liar or the sickly trait. So a lot of these options like really help build like a very quick overview of your character. Like, did they get out of prison like because they were too ill and they were literally allowed out, or did they fake it? Did they like put on some makeup and go, oh, I'm so ill, and like get out that way? And so throughout this, you're building this like idea of a character. Like they were a cut purse. They went to prison. They got out pretending to be ill, and then every story ends with joining gravediggers. Um, so yeah, we got could start with like a super powerful magic item. It's really cool. Or of course as a witch. Um, but yeah, every story ends with you becoming a gravedigger. So when you become a gravedigger, you sort of get some final stuff where they teach you how to fight or how to explore. This is sort of the more adventure-y things they teach. Choose sickly. um, so this is the more like adventure-y things that you could do. So um, sort of everyone has this chance of learning a bit of combat stuff or a bit of sort of exploration stuff. So even if you rolled really poorly and you've got some sort of missing bits and sickly, then you can still sort of get this unique and useful thing in on this page. You're given a spade, you're given a badge, and you're told to go out there and bury the dead. Problem with that is the dead don't always want to be buried. A lot of them are the unquiet dead, something that's becoming more and more of a problem since hell shut its doors to all of the souls of the damned, which just poor planning that is. And you basically you do that. There's a little dice table for like how you join the group. So if you're all building your party together, then there's a little dice table for like how you know each other, build relationships. Oh, I'm Thingy's brother. Oh, I know this character from back in the day, and sort of build those links, which are always really nice in a role playing group to just sort of quickly give you something to build your role play off of. Uh, on the other hand, if you're joining a party because the unfortunate has happened, then there's basically a load of like quick little hooks for why you're in that party. So um, maybe you finished a job in a nearby town. Maybe you like already know someone in the party and they've called for aid. And sort of these sort of links to weave yourself back into that story and make sure you've all still kind of got the same goal. As we're definitely of the design philosophy of having like quite a simple overarching goal allows the day-to-day sort of adventures to be the focus and the interesting part of everything. Um, and so at the end of character creation, you'll have a list of traits, you'll have some gear, you'll have everything you need to basically get up and add them. And that is character creation. There is also a cut down, basically just that section of character creation that's available on the in the files that you'll get if you subscribe to Doomsong. So you can subscribe to Doomsong by going to caesar.inc/Doomsong. Links in the comments up there. Next up, we have all the rules that you need to play the game. I'll sort of breeze through this, and we will definitely be focusing on this a lot more in the future as well. We'll be focusing on everything. We've got a load of weeks to get through. But the main rule or the main sort of conflict resolution in Doomsong is a die roll that you will get modifiers to, and you're basically trying to hit a difficulty. So if you have traits that are useful in that, then you're going to be getting positive modifiers. If you have traits that are not so useful or injuries, that sort of things, then you're going to be getting negative modifiers. So if you have the trait melee fighter, that's going to help you in making attacks. If you have the trait sickly, then maybe that's going to harm your ability to sort of make attacks or ward off infection or generally be like not sickly. So essentially, you decide what modifiers you've got, which give you a plus or a minus to your roll. The GM will have set a difficulty. Standard difficulty is 5, which you're going to be rolling a d6. So without, if you have nothing and it's a standard difficulty, then you've got 1/3 chance of succeeding. which is made better or worse by if it is a focused, hasty, or standard check. This is essentially like advantage disadvantage in Dungeons and Dragons, which I think is a very neat rule. So you'll be rolling 2d6 take highest, 2d6 take lowest, depending on whether you have basically enough time to do your check in a calm, orderly manner, or if you're panicking the hell out and just need to get it done now. So you apply your modifiers and you check the result. Now, here's a cool little thing about the rules, which I will go into. So you check this little table here, which I can zoom into a bit there. You'll see here we have under, equal, and over. Over is success with, just success. Equal is success with cost. So that means you succeed, but something goes wrong. So maybe you do manage to climb over the wall, but the rope breaks and you no longer have that rope, or you took some damage doing it, that sort of thing. Under is fail with cost. So not only did you not get over the wall, your rope snapped, that sort of thing. Then we have the Doom coin. So after you've rolled and you know what you got, so I know that I'm failing this test, but it's not quite over. I could drag this back. That's where the Doom coin comes in. You can flip the Doom coin, which is a sort of normal heads or tails coin. And if you get a heads, you go up one step on this result. So rather than fail with cost, you go to success with cost. You've managed to get over the wall. Excellent work. Well done, you. Or if you flip a skull, then you go down one. So instead of failing with cost, that's now a critical fail. That's something real bad. And this is definitely somewhere where we say to the GM, hey, how cool are you feeling? go nuts with it. Like, do something terrible to them. And of course, the same goes the other way with critical successes. So you've succeeded, great. But you could have critically succeeded. You could have done something amazing. And this is a really nice, like, push your luck mechanic that is really simple and just gets the idea across. And it tempts you. But what's a really cool thing about this mechanic as well is this is the standard check. So success with cost, that sort of thing, is the standard check. And you could run most of a game just using that check. That's like your bog standard. It's super flexible. Like, success is, you know what success is and can modify it to almost any check. However, if you want to start getting like more specific with it, then we have special checks, which are essentially new tables that can be used in a check. So if I'm trying to work out if you're lying, or if if the guy we've met is lying to us, the GM could just say, oh yeah, make a check, give me a check. What traits help? Okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Roll, flip the Doom coin. And you could resolve it that way. Or they could ask you to make a judge check. So here's the judge skill, or the judge table. And these come with a little bit of advice of how they're used, how the difficulty works. So, for example, again, your standard difficulty here is 5. And if you're doing a judge check, then that's increased by 2 if the target is a liar or conniving or in some way good at hiding their emotions, and decreased by 2 if they're a bit like honest or like ungood, bad even, at hiding their emotions. It gives you a bit of advice about what traits might be useful in such a trait, in such a check. I really like judge because both sort of compassionate and suspicious both help you in sort of determining like the empathy and the sort of to use D&D parlance, the insight check. Like they're both useful, but as you'll see in the sort of special table, there is sort of a twist to that. In that, so critical fail is you come under a comical misunderstanding, something goes really badly. You think they're lying, but they're telling the truth. You think they're telling the truth, but they're lying, or something more creative, even so. Bias is one I really like. So if you roll under the check on a judge check, then you basically project your bias. So if you're compassionate, if you're honest and naive, and you think the best of your fellow man, then and you roll poorly on a judge check, you think, oh yeah, he's a good guy. Like he's my friend. Like he's fine. He wouldn't lie. Whereas if you have the suspicious trait and you're a nasty, conniving little bugger, then it's the opposite. Even if they're a good person, you're going to think they're a liar, and you're going to think the worst of them. Whereas if you get a success or equal or over, you start to basically get the basically, like, you learn whether they have hidden motives, you understand what their true motives are. Only on a critical success do you actually get a yes or no, are they lying to me, which is something I really like, because I think it's something in especially in Dungeons and Dragons, but it's also something in a lot of other sort of pass fail role playing games where you just go, it becomes a bullshit detector. It becomes, is he lying to me? I'll make a check. Is he lying to me? I'll make a check. And so yeah, so having that, and then this is also sort of the place where all of your sort of combat stuff, resisting death when you've been struck a mortal blow, and this sort of overlay of modularity really allows us to basically expand out into, we're going to have this niche situation, and here's the rules for it, but also you can ignore it. Like, if it's not something for your game and you don't want to go into sort of fear checks and that sort of thing, then it's a really neat part of the game that you can look at and go, nah, not for me. Or, yes, okay, great, I'm glad there are rules for this. But by linking it in like this, it's really nice and easy to pass that information. Also gets across sort of some of our philosophies for stuff like sneaking, where a failed check should be you're caught at the worst possible moment, not necessarily you've been seen immediately. Things like that. Anyway, really, really happy with those special checks, and that's another section that's going to be much, much bigger in the final version. So basically, you'll get to have a lot of these checks for any scenario that you want. Or again, you can always use the standard check. Like, that's always there. Next cool thing is combat. I will dive through this and basically just sit on this page for a while. So the main thing about combat is that at the start of combat, everyone gets, or all the players get 2 dice. They get to set them to 2 faces. So I might choose 3 and 5. Which correspond to actions which they can see on their action sheet. So this is like a little reference. It's got everything you need, like a quick reference. Really useful piece of kit. That. So these actions are stuff like dashing, making a light attack, making a heavy attack, making a open action, like trying to get a door or help someone up, or perform first aid, that sort of thing. And so you sort of choose what you want to do. Then everyone who's got a dice on 1 gets to do that thing, including the enemies. And the enemies have different action blocks to the players. So a spider might have, like, on 5, create a web surface. Oh, sorry, a lace worker, not a spider. We don't have spiders in this world. We have lace workers. Whereas, and they have their own special attacks and their own special ways of moving, but that's all sort of locked into their action blocks. That's what this is. It's an action block. And so basically throughout the game you can choose these options, and if you're choosing sort of the lower numbers, then they're probably going to have less effect. So for example, so yeah, there's the hasty action, standard action, and focused action. So the hasty action is roll 2 dice, take lowest. Standard is roll 1 die, and focused action is roll 2 dice, take highest. Sounds good, except it's also on number 6. So if you're taking a focused action, you're doing it after everyone else has done absolutely everything they want to do. So, and you might have lost that die if you've been hit with an attack or something like that. So basically, it's a bit of a risk reward of when you decide to act, and when you're fighting stuff, you'll sort of learn their rhythm, like what they can do, and it's like, okay, I know the bear can, like, launch onto its back legs and do this massive attack on 5, then I want to get in before that, or I want to get out of there before that. The other cool thing about combat, so essentially you set your dice, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everyone does their actions. Bam, 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 bam. And then you get to the end of the round where there's like a specified part of the round where you have what I like to call anime time, which is you can like talk to the enemy, you can have like conversations, you can pep each other up, like don't you die on me, Gerald, come back here, and sort of have these like in character moments without like saying like just for me, I like to err on the edge of go as ham on that as you like. Like we're here for the drama. Whereas other players, it's like, or other GMs, it's like, no, this is, you get like 5 seconds, you get to shout one thing. And this is where a bit of that like planning can come in as well. The other thing to note is the GM basically chooses all of their dice, then the players choose their actions, so they can like plan around what the GM is doing. And then the final part of the round is the retreat. So this is where the GM basically decides whether anyone's retreating on their side, and then the players get to choose the same. There is a special check to do with retreating. So essentially, at the end of any round of combat, you can choose to just go away, like just get out of there. You might not get far. You might, only get out of combat, out of initiative, essentially, and then, well, then it's up to you to stay out of combat. They might be chasing you, but that's sort of you escaped from this combat, and you almost always do escape, but there might just be costs. So you might escape, but they get a free attack on you as you get out, or you might all escape, but one of you is taken down as you're trying to escape, and so you're given this choice of, do we continue getting out of here, or should we go back for him? He's probably going to die. This is a very brutal sort of setting, and leaving your friends for dead is just sometimes the best thing to do, unfortunately. So that's combat. Here we have an example NPC stat block. So they have sort of traits, just like player characters. They have special abilities, and then they have these 6 sort of actions that they can take during their turn. So this is the lace worker. So it might thrash with its long legs really early, or it might sort of try and pull someone onto a web. And what these really do, they do 2 things. They allow you to, as a GM, just roll a die and go, okay, he's going to do 2, and then ignore it. And then when it gets round to 2, to resolve the 2 actions, you go, okay, climb. The beast flows up the nearest tall object, attempting to get out of sight of any enemies. Cool. So, okay, he's going to go up that pillar. If it does so, it regains 2 defense. Cool. Regains 2 defense. Write that down. It does not need to make a check to climb vertical surfaces. It's a giant spider. It's gone. And then you're moving on to the next character and the next thing they're doing. And so, like, that thinking process, when you don't want to do it, is taken off of you. You can also just go, oh no, okay, so he's up on that pillar. He's gonna leap down and he's gonna bite someone. So I'm gonna choose that. You choose number 3, and basically on the next round he's gonna jump down and try and land on someone. And that just really gives you this sort of like you can spend no time on it, or you can like delve into it for the more important characters. We have gear. You'd be happy to know. Honestly, there's this stuff is mostly mundane. There is some really cool magical gear in the world, but it's much more narrative and sort of rather. You won't find a +1 sword. You might have a sword whose the wounds it causes never stop bleeding, but it's kind of more up to you to work out exactly what that means. Like forever bleeding wounds, okay, that's going to affect your chance of getting through the swamp uninfected. It's going to affect like so much about your character that isn't just sort of held up with, oh, okay, therefore X, Y, or Z. And obligatory, make sure you check out this on cz.inc/Doomsong. where you can subscribe to our newsletter and get all of this to peruse through at your leisure. Um, yeah, so there's tons of weapons. Weapons make a huge difference in combat, as you might think, as you might guess, but not quite so much as armor does. Armor is huge in Doomsong. If you find like metal armor, then you're going to have a much better time if you do get into a scrap. In the world of the Plaguescape and Lord Have Mercy Upon Us, there's a lot of like just stuff that's out of your league, and you have to just work around it or avoid it or try and work out what its problem like, or what it's weak to, and but to sort of level some of that playing field is your armor. If you're in like full plate, then you're going to basically be pretty invincible to like anyone who's just trying to come at you with a pitchfork or a badly made weapon. Like any other human is going to find it very difficult to hurt you. Two people in plate mail sort of fighting against each other, like they're honestly like not going to be able to hurt each other on the sort of like, oh god, hand weapon, we're not very good at it. You're going to have to bring a sort of something to pierce that armor to really get in there, or push them over and drown them. There's always that. Here we sort of explain a bit more about traits and conditions. So traits are essentially stuff you get during character creation. Conditions are sort of short-term things, so things like injuries, or being ill or thirsty or that sort of thing. So generally negative, and affect things in the same way. Checks in the same way. Basically, pluses and minuses to checks on a very up to you basis. So sometimes it's obvious. Burly is going to help with lifting a rock. Sometimes it's less so. Is fearful going to help with like trying to dodge an attack from the thing you're scared of? It's sort of up to you and very much based on the vibe of that moment. And often, if the player can create a good story about it, it's going to give you a +1. Then we have abilities. Abilities are much more like rigid and do weird and wonderful things. So these interact with the rules a lot more, and basically give you special powers. They're sort of feats from sort of Dungeons and Dragons, that sort of thing. So essentially, these give you bonuses in specific scenarios, a bit more sort of structured around that. And in amongst those are the occult abilities, and this is where stuff starts to get real weird. So if during character creation or during your adventure, you pledge yourself to one of the traitor gods, they will help you. There is a cost. These are esoteric costs. So Frenzy's cost here is give defeated enemies no quarter. You may not have mercy if you are a follower of Frenzy, but you might get some bonuses, such as Blood Rage, where you can just ignore injuries during battle. Like you can be filled with spears. Who cares as long as you win? Then after battle, that's something to work through, but it's pretty nice while it lasts. Or honor here, where you can basically gain a massive bonus against enemies who have broken an oath or have lied. But if you ever get it wrong, then you lose that power forever until you remove one of your own fingers. So that's this. You can use that 10 times, or you can get it wrong 10 times. And these things are essentially, these are eldritch beings who are giving you ultimate power, or not ultimate power, but pretty powerful stuff. Hope just allows you to cure wounds, like just reattach body parts that would never be able to fix otherwise. But I do love this one at level 3. So you can reattach body parts, but at level 3, you gain control of every body part you've ever reattached. So if you've like reattached someone's hand like ages ago, then you can go, oh, I can just control that. I can make them drop stuff, or I can make them like grasp stuff, like proper. What's that? There's that old black and white movie with the evil hand, the guy who's trying to kill himself. It might be Twilight Zone, actually. Now that I think of it, but yeah, that sort of thing. And these are like really flavorful, really weird abilities. And the other thing is they're quite hard to get. So um, in the demo, you have like a one in like yeah, you have a small chance. Like if there's one person in your party with it, you're doing well um, of getting these special abilities. And so they feel very unique and very like precious, because not only are they sort of hard to get, but which one of these you get is also a huge, big question mark. Then we get into the last meal. I won't go too far into this, as I want to keep sort of a lot of it a mystery, um, so you guys can check it out yourself. But it does start with a lovely fairy tale, which I would like to read out. And before I begin, you should go to kickstarter.com/projects/Caesarink/Doomsong and click the button that says notify me. Unless you've already clicked it, in which case you shouldn't click that button because it would probably unnotify you. And if you have already done that, do that again until it says you'll be notified, and then stop clicking it. Come back here. And I'll tell you a little story, fairy tale, if you will. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess who lived in a castle with her father, a kind and merciful king. But the princess nursed a broken heart. Her anguish grew and grew until she met a stranger who recognized the bitter seeds inside of her. The words of this stranger stayed with her until a day came when misery overwhelmed all thoughts of duty, sense. She performed an unholy ceremony, offering out pieces of herself for the charms to inflict her despair on others. Now, bound heart and soul to the malicious being she summoned, she rules over a land her own making. The Plaguescape. This is the full map of the full adventure. You can see the circled bit up here. I just pointed as if you could see my finger, but this circled bit up here, that's Castle Leith. So that's basically the scene that is covered in the next few pages. That's the adventure. That is like one small place on this massive map. This is the Lost Kingdom of Leith. This is the Plaguescape, and oh boy, it's a lot. There's so much cool stuff here. There's a forest with a snake that like winds through the entire canopy, blotting out the sun. There's an ancient tree. There's an ancient tree. There's the rotting grounds. You'll get to find out what that means. There are bulchways. Like if you dig into the earth of the Plaguescape, it's flesh down there. Like you go down far enough, and it's flesh. It's on a bedrock of malnutritious, malodorous, miasmic flesh called bulch matter. But there's ways through. There's an underdark of meat that's just horrible. You'll go, but it's also really useful. Like you can go in there and you can almost sort of fast travel across the Plaguescape, but you have to go through the meat underdark. Not fun, but sometimes you have to. Sometimes time pressure will force you to do that sort of thing. It's completely open world. If you find yourself in the bulchways, you should get out of the bulchways. That is, truer words have never been spoken. Um, and yeah, so like this is completely open world. You can like wander around this place, trying to collect the totems of the Lice Mother and Father Plague, and then cleanse them, destroy them, help, hinder, forgive, punish. All of these things are up to you. And the whole adventure. I won't show too much from this demo, but it's done in this 2-page spread, which, if you are familiar with the Dark Crystal, is another game that we designed, and Jim Henson's Labyrinth, the adventure game. 1, 2 Ennies, yay! Then we've used that similar format of, on the left-hand side, there is essentially a map and a description of locations, and on the right-hand side is sort of a deeper delve into any sort of rulesy stuff in those locations. So, for example, here we have like a random table of the fresh food that can be found in the root cellar, or the castle cellar, sorry. And sort of some information on Troisel and Cresside and stuff like that, and sort of links to everything as well. Fingers crossed, is hyperlinked throughout. So just finding stuff is just click, click, click. It's really useful. And then we have finally the castle residents themselves. This is the Lice Mother, who's one of the great. She's one of the great sort of rulers and villains of the piece. She is cold and cruel, utterly loyal to Father Plague as his consort. She is a terror. She is probably going to be a real problem for a lot of people in the demo. So I don't know how many people will die to her, but here's hoping it's everyone. To really get that vengeance running, so that when the Kickstarter comes out, you're like, I need to get at that. So yeah, there's all of the sort of characters and creatures that you meet in the adventure, as well as there's so much stuff here. The Valraven's fantastic. He's just a sentient raven, but he's got ulterior motives. Boy, does he have ulterior motives. You'll find out about them. Don't you worry. And for everyone out there, there is an index. Very important. Not very exciting, but very useful. And there you have it. So this has been Doomsong. Lord have mercy upon us. A Roleplay Macabre, coming to Kickstarter next year. Not next year, end of this year. And so, yeah, if any of that has caught your eye, if any of that sounds interesting, then please come to kickstarter.com/projects/Caesar/Doomsong. Links in the chat up there. And just check it out. It's absolutely awesome. So there are, so the core book, the rules will be 200 pages plus. And the adventure 300 pages plus, all in fully hardback style, with PDFs and digital content. There is this awesome cloth map of the Plaguescape that's also going to be available, as well as the ill-fated Doom coin, which will decide your fate every time you decide to take its chance. There's lots of other like sneaky things that we'll be talking about in the coming weeks. So please do that, and if you've already done that, tell all your friends. Get everyone you know to know about Doomsong. If they're even a little bit into horror, into role playing games, into the apocalypse, I mean, who isn't? Then get them down, get them looking at it. If we can make this as big as possible, then it can become as big as possible. There's loads of really cool ideas that we've got to put in there once we've made it a success. There's a whole range of books that this can expand out into. You might not be aware, but there's more than one Horseman of the Apocalypse, and more than 4 seals of the Apocalypse. So there's absolutely tons of really cool stuff. As Baron says, we've commissioned over 200 pieces of art for the books. It's a huge piece of work, a huge labor of love. Baron von Uppercase has been working on this for 4 years, I think. So yeah, it's had so much love and attention put into it that honestly, you're going to love it. And I honestly think it's one of the greatest things in the world ever. So check it out and do that. Thank you so much. Since 2019. Yeah, that's about 4 years. Um, so, yeah. And other than that, I've already mentioned the demo, but I'll mention it again. You can have a look at this yourself at your own pace by going to caesar.inc/doomsong. That's caesar.inc/doomsong. That's ink with a K, not with a C. If you've done that and that, you can join our Discord. You can join our Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. All of those should be fairly easy to find. We haven't hidden them. We want you to find them. That's the main reason we do this. And if you've done all that, well, come back next week. We are going to be doing this stream every week on a Monday around this time. So make sure to drop by, say hi. If you have any questions, we would absolutely love to hear them, either before the stream or during it, and we can answer those and basically go through everything. Really looking forward to speaking to you guys, and hopefully both Chris and Morgan will be alive by that point and not super ill as they currently are. So thank you, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope to see lots more of you in the coming months.